This is the Coach's Corner podcast. It's been a while. We've been handling business, getting stuff squared away. It's Brian.
Coach Mo.
All right, on today's episode, we're going to kind of lay down the changes we got for this season coming up for basketball, straight up, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that we have in play for Academy. So that's what we have on today's episode. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things, but that's all I got. We'll throw it to the intro, and we'll get back to you after that. All right, y'all. Welcome back. So, it's Brian.
Hey, Coach Mo.
All right, we haven't done this in a minute because the schedule's been really hectic. Coach Mo's been driving up and down the highways of this country with AAU stuff and, you know, dealing with a lot of the fun and the headaches that come along with trying to run an AAU program. We've had some weird misadventures with, would you say?
Understatement. That's it.
We've had some very interesting, it's hard to explain, but there's been a lot of sideways misadventures that we've had on this AAU journey this year, you know, between misbehaving parents and misbehaving refs and, you know, kids that aren't able to make it at the last minute and stuff like that. So it's really kept our coaching staff on their toes. And shout out to our coaching staff for kind of enduring this. We learned a lot this summer, and we are actually, before we got on, we're sitting here talking about changes that we're going to make for next year. So those are in play. But Coach Mo, what are some of the more interesting adventures that we've had this summer?
Oh, man. You know, with AAU, you typically travel to the bigger cities or the surrounding bigger cities. So we're in Omaha, in Bellevue area, so our surrounding would be like, kind of Minneapolis or, what would you say, Minneapolis, KC, Chicago, those places like that. So they're big cities. So you're playing teams that are high levels from this area. And you still have teams that come in from other states. So you're going to get different playing styles, you know, which is that's the big thing with AAU. And I actually saw a tweet where somebody said some kids probably shouldn't have played AAU this summer and developed. You know, we'll talk about that later. And I believe that AAU is, you got to be ready to play who's in front of you. Like, there is no planning for some of these teams. You might see them in other tournaments, but you can't go tell, you can't be a 17-year-old and tell the director that, oh, that team's too tall, we can't play. It doesn't work like that. You got to play who's in front of you. And the thing is, it's a showcase, right? You're supposed to be showcasing your skills. Like, I don't know too many people look at the win-loss. If you're getting smacked by 7 each game, your team probably shouldn't have done AAU. But I don't think we look at the win-loss when we're looking at a point guard that's controlling the offense, a big that's getting 12 rebounds a game, a good attitude from kids that are coming out with 3.9, 4.0 GPAs. I mean, that's what you're kind of looking at in the summer to present yourself. But some of the stuff we've seen, I thought it's been boiling by the last couple of summers. It's been like this. There was a game before my 7th graders had played, and a ref and a coach got into a fist fight, and it turned into the crowd jumping on the ref, and no matter who was at fault, fists were thrown, and that was ridiculous. It went viral. Shout out to Coach Randall and his father and some of the parents of our team who was playing next broke that fight up because no one was going to jump into that and help. But why is basketball turning into that? Why are we in that situation? And so we're seeing a lot more of that. And what I've seen is when we actually play some of the game, we actually play with the other ref later. It's kind of the way that the refs are controlling the games in the summertime compared to school ball and select league during the year, where you have a little bit more control because you know the refs. You're looking at a lot of the certified refs have patches on their arms, so they're going to school and they're training. Whereas in the summer, I understand you're trying to get people to fill in these games. I understand it, but there's not a lack of training. When a lack of training happens, things like that happen. And so for me, the level of disrespect towards the refs from the crowd has been pretty bad. But let's not let the refs off the hook, There's things that go on the sideline. I think this summer especially I saw that the parents don't understand. I hear parents sometimes say, tell the kids to play through it. And what they don't understand is the kids are still 15 or 14. They're still teenagers. They're emotional. So if they're getting hit in the face 3 or 4 times or pushed to the ground 3 or 4 times, and the coach is asking, hey, is that a foul? And the refs are walking away, or they tell the kids to shut up, or they don't explain it. You gotta understand, those kids are mostly may check out unless the coach jumps in and tries to rectify what's going on there. So everybody, I think, at some point needs some sort of training before these AAU things. I don't know if it's going to happen because these tournaments are every weekend. They're all over the country. But it does change the way how people approach. Maybe, maybe fans start getting, there's rules for fans. Maybe you can't sit close to the court.
Right.
Maybe after the first warning, you got to get kicked out. So it needs to be a universal thing. But the last 2 years, I've seen a lot of, it's getting too close to, shutting down these things for things that could be under control. And I think that's been a weird thing. And I've played around. I'm not one of those people that's, back in my days, we didn't have things happen. We saw things happen, but I thought it was a little bit more controlled. If somebody came in cursing at a ref and throwing something, in the crowd, or standing behind a bench cussing at players, I thought, where I've been at, we got rid of those people.
Right.
Well, if you let these people stay around, you have fights going viral, which turns into, more fights, and copycats. And I think I've seen 4 more after that fight. I was like, that's weird. No, that's what kids don't need to see.
Well, and from the operation standpoint, it feels like some of this might end up being, on the verge of just a money grab,
yes,
where it's a way to get a lot of money from a lot of people at one time and just put on an absolute disaster that hasn't been really planned out, and it's not really professional at any level. And when you get that reputation, what happens is, you start attracting people that aren't really about progressing the game or whatnot. They're literally thinking that this win on the AAU circuit is going to open up doors and opportunities that don't exist. They're putting too much weight on the AAU wins versus what the experience actually does overall, which is the idea is putting the best players in the country against one another so that they can all benefit and all get spotlighted and all get an opportunity to be seen. And so I'm concerned that from our perspective as a business, who has an emotional investment in the well-being of kids and families, we are concerned about what's happening out on that circuit, because it feels like a lot is hard to determine which are the good tournaments versus which are the money grab kind of tournaments.
Yeah, we were talking to parents afterwards, and I've been to Kansas City a bunch of times, and I know you have family in Kansas City. I used to work down Overland Park, and any city has things going on, but we've never had any issues basketballs down there. And so, but one incident, I had 4 or 5 parents who are like, I don't want to do this next year. And that's a major circuit spot. And so I'm trying to tell them, this is just a, thing. But then, is it just a one-time thing? Is it going to change? I don't know. I don't know. And so for us planning the future, we were hoping it gets better. It does bother me because people will say things like that don't determine games. And I won't argue with anybody with that. It does determine games. It does because we had I think it was our 3rd game for CMA, the 15U, and we won that game. Shout out to those boys. It was rough. There were 2 foul calls the whole second half. This is 15U basketball. And it was rough. Clothesline, push, jumped on. There were racial slurs slung at our players, and there were no consequences for what happened. I had pretty much 5 kids I could play in those last probably 5 minutes because everyone said, check that out. I'm not going in there because, and you don't blame them. It's like, I'm getting tripped and pulled out of the air.
Right.
I'm going to get hurt. And these kids, I know the kids that come to our organization, even down to kids that are kind of beginning, I think they have an initial thing that they want to play in school. They want to make their junior high team. They want to make their high school team. And then when they get to high school, they have admiration of being a college player.
Right.
And so the last thing they want to do is get their leg broke. Because nothing's organized. Nothing organized. And the amount of money parents are paying for hotels and for gas, and for us as an organization, any other organization, shout out to everybody that's doing this, these aren't cheap tournaments. These aren't free. So it's like we are investing to get 2-3 teams of kids down here safely to and from the game to get to perform at their highest level and get themselves looked at by colleges or wherever they want to go. And we shouldn't have to worry about their safety.
Well, and I think a lot of it, and I don't want to say too much, there's an element of it that goes into that old school gladiator crap that, adults that played sports like to put down on kids, on people younger than them. Like when we were kids, you can get choke slammed out of the air.
Right.
And the ref would just.
80s basketball, right?
Right. And I think there's a certain mentality of, well, it just makes them tougher and stuff like that. Well, there's a difference between something making somebody tougher and something injuring somebody and destroying their ability to get any better for a year or two because they're rehabbing an injury. And so you have to balance that piece out. And on one hand, because I could see where the refs, if you've been a ref and you got jumped after a game, you're not going to want to call foul calls.
Right.
Because you don't know who's going to get pissed off, because you know that a lot of times the people sitting in the stands don't have the most objective perspective of the game. And so it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. Refs don't call, people get mad, refs get targeted and assaulted, refs don't want to call because they got targeted. And so it creates this thing, and then the coaches end up getting frustrated. The other thing I want to talk about specifically regarding the coaching element, and we're not calling anybody to the carpet or putting anybody down or anything, but we do see a need for a level of training and professionalism with the coaches. We see, and Coach Mo's kind of talked to me off the record about it, we see a lot of the avid 2K players wanting to step in and become coaches. And it used to be the old joke with the Madden players that want to become coaches all of a sudden. But you're starting to see it manifest, not understanding that these kids are people, the refs are people, the parents are people, and the stuff you would ask a video game to do, you can't ask for real life people to do.
Right.
And so we're starting to see a level of unprofessionalism emerge with coaching. Well, not emerge, it's been there for a while,
right.
But there is a high level of unprofessionalism where they're not about building better players, which is our logo, our model. We want to build better players. They're more about winning meaningless trophies.
Well, it's two extremes we're getting. Like you said earlier, we're getting the old guard that probably needs to move on or has to catch up with the new game.
Right.
Like you're like, I love the football. I love it where they come down and push. I love it where you get thrown out of the air. I love it. I'm like, yep. And then when your best player or some of your players tear an ACL because somebody tore them out, now you're mad.
Right.
So you can't say that's great basketball. And then we have the ones that won't step in and advocate for the players, for the players. I had a game, I stepped in for the fifth graders the other day, and it was a lopsided foul call. I stepped, foul calls, and I stepped in, and I just told the guy, I was like, I'm looking at a foul count that's unbalanced, and the same calls, on the other end, the refs calling, but you're not calling on this end. Can you explain to me why they're not doing? They're attacking the same way, and those kind of things there. And he was getting all mad. I'm like, I'm not getting mad at you. I'm asking you, you were calling that in the first half. So are we doing something wrong, And I think that's the in-between coaching where you're like, I get fired up. I get fired up because you should. Your team follows that a little bit, And I think parents sometimes get that confused.
Right.
Where they're like, oh my gosh, why is the coach getting so fired up about that call? I was out of bounds. Well, there's more to it because I'm asking, now in that out of bounds, did he shove him? I'm going to shove him. Well, I didn't see it. Well, let me help you do it. Don't tell me anything. Okay, well, we got to find some kind of equal ground.
Right.
Equal ground, so we got to do it. And so it's going to be a constant thing with back and forth with me. I haven't got a technical foul this year. And then people get, I get warnings like, I can't get a technical foul because I'm not cursing at you. I'm not out of the coaching box. I'm not standing on the floor. I'm not making gestures at you. I'm just asking a question. So, am I doing my job right? Yes, of course I am. I'm vouching for my team to get the call they need, and they win games. And you cannot, base yourself off. We talked about this earlier. Not everybody's going to be prone and respond to Bobby Knight's kind of coaching.
Right.
Not everybody is. you might like the way that Coach K coaches. I might like the way Coach, that coaches. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just different types of coaching styles. But everybody has to adjust to how the game is. It's 2022. It is not 1970. It's not 1985. It's not what your dad looked at or what your cut looked at. What's going on for AAU ball for 2022? Are there rule changes? We're getting a shot clock this year in Nebraska. So we're getting a shot clock. That's going to change a lot. That's huge.
Right.
That's huge. So now, my question now, are the refs going to school right now studying for that? Because that's going to be a mess if they don't study and prepare for a shot clock. Because now coach is going to be looking and counting and looking, and you don't blow the whistle or do. It's going to turn into a bigger mess. So all a good coach is asking, can you tell me what's going on in the game? Can you explain to my kids if you called them for a foul, without being so upset, But I get it. So let me go back to this. I get why some are upset. Some of the parents are ridiculous. And they're ridiculous because not only do the refs hear it, I hear it as a coach.
Right.
I hear it as a coach. So if I hear, man, that dude is terrible. He sucks. He's terrible. That ref may have his kids at the game. Right. His wife might be sitting in the crowd, and you're constantly berating him. And so now when I have a question, they're checked out. So now they're mad at me. And then the parents are like, well, I don't know why some of the coach getting to it. Because I'm trying to get them to get back on our side because you just told him he's terrible for an hour.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I think to kind of wrap a lot of this AAU stuff up, Omaha metro area is not one of the bigger metropolitan areas. It's ranked somewhere in the middle of all of them. There's a minimum level of competence that you have to become a head coach at these schools. Like, everybody has different levels of experience. Everybody's going to have different strengths and weaknesses, but there's a minimum level of competence where you have to understand how the game works and how it looks and how to coach players and things like that. AAU, there's not that. There's no minimum level of competence on the coaching side. There's no minimum level of competence on the reffing side. It's definitely not with the parents. The parents, a lot of times, don't have any specific fan expectations coming in. And so when you're dealing with where there's no bar, there's no bar set, you can't be surprised when people find no bottom to their behavior. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, their behavior knows no bounds if you don't have any expectations. And I think that's what you're encountering. Now,
let me ask you a question, Brian. Do you think, do you think the colleges should probably send like some general things out to maybe an AAU coach? Maybe we're saying like, we're here to see your kid, but these are like 10 things that would really turn us off about your program, your kids, your parents. I think that's where there's no clarity.
Right. I think that would be a benefit. That would be a benefit to let people know, like, I don't really care if your kid, dropped 20 on somebody if they punched the ref afterwards and fought one of their teammates. I don't really care about all that stuff.
Right.
You screaming and yelling and throwing chairs and trying to fight parents and stuff, and your kids copying your behavior just shows me that your kids will follow a bad example. And I don't want to put a bunch of money in their pocket and give them a bunch of power on campus. And understand this, and I'm saying this very clearly, there is money in college sports now. There's always been money in college sports, but now it's legal. And there are lots of states that actually have those NIL laws on the books. Nebraska's one of them. You can start your NIL journey as a freshman in high school if you wanted to. There's money in the sports. And so, when we say money introduces you to the a-hole that you really are, that's a real thing. And so a lot of these college coaches, they have to worry about not only how's this kid going to represent us, but what's it going to look like when they get some money in their pocket and some notoriety on them? How are they going to act? And they can't be going around picking up lawsuits, punching coaches and stuff and choking out other players. And if they see it in the AAU circuit, unless this kid is a transcendent talent where they're like, okay, maybe we can work with him. Maybe we can work with her. The opportunity is lost when you act a fool in the AAU circuit. It's better just to take the loss and move on. And, you know, your kid went out there and did their best in a lopsided loss. Then I'm gonna pull up on the ref, or me and the coach. I'm gonna go fight the coach now. It's just.
But you know that those coaches, and you saw that video, we've seen the video going around.
Right.
There's been a bunch of them. That's who they are. And then that's where I start having a question to the parents. I had a question to the parents, like, you've never seen that person get to that level? Because that doesn't just happen. That doesn't just happen. And you still trust an organization. Is it for the wins? I mean, do you risk your child getting hurt for the wins? Let's be honest. Bad as that was, let's just glad it was fist.
Right.
Let's just glad it was fist, because it could have got bad quick. That was a major city we're in.
Right.
A major city, and we don't know what could have happened. When the crowd jumps in, things could happen. I mean, there's weapons that can be involved.
Right.
And so I really think, and I challenge the colleges, like, I know, and I love this quote too, colleges cannot talk to people directly on Twitter, by the way.
Right.
They can't just be like, hey, I want to recruit you on Twitter. So kids, calm down. Kids, calm down. Like,
true.
They can't talk to you. You can't do that.
But wait, they are seeing how you interact with other people on Twitter, and if they see a strange TikTok that can come to haunt you, you know, they see one of them strange TikToks those questionable TikToks or questionable Twitter posts that you posted when you're 14 years old and stupid. They see it when you're now a 19-year-old on their campus and your name's trending on Twitter for some stuff that they unearthed. There's going to be a problem. And so they're monitoring their prospect social media. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
they may not be able to talk to you, but they're paying attention to what you're doing.
They're watching, and you're watching. And I would just love for them to just, give us, like, come together and give everyone what they're looking for. I think I honestly think the parents should probably get the most, rule, because the parents are investing a lot of money and time into the kids, right?
Right.
I think those rules should probably be for them, where they're looking where college is like, hey, if your grandpa or dad or uncle or aunt's in the crowd and they're telling me to F off and they're the loudest one and throwing stuff at me, I don't want your family even involved in the family of my college.
Right.
Because you're out of control. Because what you're going to do, you're going to bring that to my college. And you're going to bring that to college games and on the road with us. We don't want that. We don't want that. So I think they need to be very clear, because we could say it as a coach.
Right.
We could say it. And it's like, I don't know why they don't believe us, because I talk to colleges and recruit. They tell me this stuff. But it'd be nice to just have it, hey, we don't like this. Don't fight. Right. Don't swing on somebody. Don't kick a chair. A lot of people are visual, right? Show it.
So perhaps, and this is something that Mo and I have been kicking around, we'll let you in on it. We're looking at developing something to help train coaches. And so if anybody in the NCAA, is out there, or any one of these sports organizations, it would be nice for you to contact us at coachmoathletics@gmail.com. We're trying to put together some kind of best practices guide, for the thing that we're trying to put together, a best practices guide for coaches, maybe a best practices guide for players, and a best practices guide for parents.
Right.
So that we have some kind of baseline, specifically with coaches, because the quality of coaching is going to determine the quality of player a lot of times. And the coaches are, when they're that young, the coaches are a role model for how the kids are expected to conduct themselves. The coach is going to set the temperature of the team. And so if we have a best practices guide to help develop coaches the right way, we can help out developing these coaches that you guys are going to need here in the future. Something that Mo and I have been discussing, and something we're really interested in, because we do want to elevate the game. And the way we elevate the game is probably starting with the coaches and letting the coaches set the tone. Because if you have a bunch of coaches that are about handling business and they set the tone, you don't have assaults on refs, and you don't have parents that are out of control, because the out of control parents have been weeded out and kicked out, and they're off the team.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to come out to events.
Simple. It's a simple thing, but I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, because at the end of the day, every coach is different, right? Every coach, every ref is different. One thing people could say about me just being a veteran and the coach thing is, like, I get respect. I do get respect. Like, You may be upset with me in the moment of the game because that's, rest. We're going to go back and forth. We're going back and forth. And sometimes it doesn't happen, sometimes it does. But I'm going to be consistent because I'm still not going to curse you out.
Right.
I'm still not, I see your family there. I'm not going to try to do anything for it. I just want to keep it basketball.
Right.
And if we are training our coaches or people to come through our program to be the same way, have your personality. You could be a little louder, you could be laid back, whatever, but know what you're doing before you're out there. Know this is the rule, this is how it is. Maybe it's we understand refs are humans too. Maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they ref 4 or 5 games. Just let them know, But I love the idea of having our coaches or anybody come to us prepared for anything.
Right. And having a best practices allows us to basically really create and duplicate outcomes. So we can say, okay, so this is what the minimum standard that they want a coach to know when they're considering them. Mm-hmm. Because it can be a career. You can make a career out of coaching if you're good enough at it. And if there's a best practices guide, the kind of guide people to entry in, there's a lot of great minds out there who probably could be sharing their gift. They just don't know where to get into it. And if you get the wrong person guiding the journey, it can be really bad. So that's what that is. We're going to take a pause of the cause. When we come back, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into what's going on with Basketball Academy and what we have for the season. So we'll get you after the break. All right, y'all. Welcome back. So the first part of the podcast, we talked about AAU journey and what we would hope to see, and maybe some things that we want to do to change the landscape of basketball and coaching and stuff like that. We always want to save the world, and that's kind of what we're out here doing. Right. We're going to make it a little bit more localized now. We're going to talk about Basketball Academy, what's coming up, and how this season is going to look a little bit different, and maybe eventually what we're trying to, some of the things that there's a lot of different ideas that Mo and I bounce off of each other, and so we're trying to see which ones make sense for us moving forward and which ones do not. First thing we'll do is talk about Basketball Academy. Last year, we came up with the 12 pillars. This year, we're kind of refining the 12 pillars, and we're really hyper-focusing on different elements of it. Coach Mo, when I say 12 pillars, what are we talking about there?
Well, what we try to do, our main thing, and me and Brian's talked about this for years, is making it seem as, we want this to be a classroom setting. Like, not only are you going in there and you're learning skills and things like that, but it's a classroom setting and it's organized where you're focusing on 12 pillars. 12 pillars are equaling a month, right?
Right.
And so we may have a month of just offensive stuff where it's ball handling, it's floaters, it's mid-range, it's passing, cutting, it's things like that too. Next month might be defense,
right.
Closeouts, boxing out, getting on the ground, hustle. And so we want to have that focus. The one thing I talked about in Brian game last night was it's the skill work and the organization we're trying to do. It's the boring things for some kids that'll win and lose you a game.
Right.
I actually got on a couple of my kids, and they're funny. I had a kid that won the game Sunday with 2 free throws. I said, so remember when we were shooting those boring free throws? You can tell you're boring. How'd you win the game? Well, 2 free throws. You were calm, collected, and we had repeated free throws for several weeks. And when it came time to it, you knocked those free throws down. 15U at Kansas City, we won a game. I think we probably knocked down, I don't think we missed a free throw in the second half. Right, 16 free throws. I mean, it was just everybody jumped in and knocked down a free throw. And so we want to make sure that each month you're going to get something that's falling into that pillar.
Right.
It's on that pillar.
So I have the pillars pulled up right now from 2021, and we're going to revise this heading on because we're going to explain what's coming up for the season. But we got the principles of playing good offense and good defense, the principles of advanced offense and defense, game prep and situational awareness, reviewing your own game, footwork, ball handling, finishing at the rim, moving without the ball, testing your skill and leveling up in the offseason, finishing strong, and goal setting, developing on your own, and the new season mindset, state, and prepping for tryouts. Those are the elements that we're emphasizing. We emphasized last year, and so we're going to go and revise some of these, streamline them a little bit after a season of experience, and retool them a little bit. But we're still going to focus on the 12 pillars. We really want the basketball academy to have an academy feel, and that's what we're trying to get back to, where it actually feels like you're attending a school for basketball. We're making it mandatory for players that are on our teams to participate in basketball academy. We have no interest in in a kid who just wants to show up on game day and play. We need somebody that we want a boy or a girl that wants to actually get better. Those are our target clients, and I'll be very transparent about saying that those are our target clients. Parents and players that actually want to get better, not just show up and play. Because there's plenty of organizations out there that will let you just show up and play. You do one practice a week, and then you just show up on Sunday and play, and whatever happens. We have no interest in that.
No, we're going to be very clear. And maybe we need to be even clearer. And so I think, and Brian's going to put it out when we have the pillars and we talk about the expectations, we talk about the rules of that too. We'll be very clear. Like I said, we want kids and families and whoever signs up to know that we are serious about our craft and we work on our craft and we're trying to give you something to, for your player to advance. And so it's not babysitting. Again, right. That's not what we're doing. It's not babysitting. And it's not an emotional thing between, you get caught up in the moment. You will follow what goes on. We talked about it, Brian, we got over years. In 3 months, a kid can get better. Right. In 6 months, they're even better if they're consistent. In a year, they're a different player altogether in baseball, basketball, soccer, football, and like that, if they stay consistent and grow. If you get 2 weeks in and you're upset because something didn't go your way, as a parent, and you pull that kid, that's not on us. Right. That's not on us, because if you're following what they're supposed to do and you let them grow, they'll get better. And I can say that for a lot of, programs. I've seen people get pulled on. I've seen this on Twitter, and they'll run, and I get calls all the time. Why didn't like so-and-so? Like, don't name drop. Don't name drop that coach. Don't name. I was like, it looks like you left after a week. What was it that happened in a week that made you upset? Well, my kid didn't start. Wow. I'm like, wow. Well, we're not the organization either. But if you come to us and say, I want my kid to develop, I'm going to follow what's going on in 12 pillars. We have enough evidence from our kids who are starting high school varsity as freshmen, who are, getting these camp invites, who are playing in college, that listened to us, took their time, followed through, and they did other stuff, but they're listening to the guidance. But It wasn't like overnight, I'm done, and the world, we're just done. No, you have to listen. So we want people that are going to be okay with your kid's going to get coached, and we're going to have to hold them accountable. I mean, I think last night we had a pretty good, session, and I think some basketballs rolling on the floor. And I got on every kid, and I'm like, I'm mad because the basketball ran on the floor. I'm mad because that basketball could have caused an injury as a distraction to what we're doing. So
on a side note, and I'm about to circle back to holding the kids accountable, leave the football at home. Don't bring a football to a basketball event. It seems innocuous. It doesn't seem like a big deal. But a kid laying out trying to catch a football while we have other kids doing wind sprints and stuff is a recipe for disaster. They miss the football, it bounces off their hands, rolls onto the floor, somebody steps on it. Now we have a problem. Do not bring any footballs to basketball academy. I know this is a football state, and I know that people are going to be physically upset about this. If you want to play football, there's plenty of space outside at the facility. Go throw the football outside. Right. Don't bring a football to basketball academy. I'm asking you. I've seen kids throwing the football, the ball's hitting them. They can't catch the ball's hitting them in their hands, rolling all over the place. It's just not the place for that. And so I understand, wanting to keep everybody engaged, but just leave the football at home. Yeah. That's all we're asking. But let's circle back. So I want to put out the expectation that in basketball academy, we have expectations. Your kid might get barked at and it's not going to be anything about embarrassing them or anything like that. It's similar to what a coach would do if you have an off-task player on the sidelines and that you need that player to win. You need that player's attention so you can go out and win a game. Your kid might get barked at if they're not doing what they need to be doing. It's not about putting them on the spot or belittling them or doing Bobby Knight and throwing stuff at them. It's us really, it's coaches setting the tone for what these kids can expect. You're off task on a junior high or high school team, you won't start, bro. You won't see the floor.
Right.
If the coach has to worry about you being squirrely and wrestling around with other kids and all this other stuff, we allow for kids to be kids. And so there's a little bit of allowance for it. But if it comes to the point where you don't know what the drill is, or you're not even participating because you're so in line with screwing with each other, the coach won't be happy and you will hear about it. You know, you're wasting other people's time. You're wasting your parents' money out here playing tickle fight with each other when you need to be paying attention. And unfortunately, a lot of it's not always the kids that aren't seeing a lot of time. It's the kids that are seeing a lot of time. And which Coach mentioned was, you know, we had to go back and emphasize with the kids that have a high skill ceiling, where they have a lot of skills. The stuff you're not paying attention to is the stuff that you need to win. And so your kid might get barked at. Be prepared for that. We're trying to prepare them for coaching.
Right. And we're not even, the thing is, like, I'm not even trying to yell at them the whole time.
Right.
We're not, that's not what you may, I think this is like pretty myself and the people that know myself and Brian, and we got to shout out to Jimmy and Chris. We did radio. I have a very distinctive voice, but too, you know, and so, but my voice carries, right? And so I think a lot of times when a person in the crowd or a ref or whatever hears someone talking to a kid, they feel that maybe I'm yelling. And I'm like, I'm not yelling. There's a difference between yelling. Yelling to me is like you go out to a tree outside and you just stand there and scream at it. And people look at you and they take you away and eventually something's wrong with you.
Right.
You're just yelling at something. You know, we are trying to get you back focused. We're trying to see if you're engaged. If you're not engaged, then why are you here? You know, why are you here? And to me as a parent, I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that, like, oh, shoot, I dropped my kid off, and he was being squirrely, or she was being squirrely. She was pulling on a paper towel dispenser instead of watching, what's going on. Thank you for doing that. So It's our plan, what we've done for you, which has made us so successful. Read our reviews. We're focused on development of the kid. And I cannot develop your kid if your kid is being a distraction.
Right.
So we're not the program for babysitting, and every kid is a distraction. Maybe dropping him off with Coach Mo will fix him. I'm here to teach you how to dribble and rebound.
Right.
I'm not here to babysit.
Well, and I think that's the reality of it. We have to be that level of transparent because some people don't understand it. A lot of basketball camps are just drop your kid off and go forget about them for a couple hours. That's not what we're about. We're about making your kid better basketball players. And if your kid ain't focused on being a better basketball player, then we are not the program for you.
No.
Speaking of programming, we're expanding back into Omaha. We're going to be starting our West Omaha camp here, or our West Omaha Basketball Academy here in the next couple of weeks. Shout out to Westside for helping us facilitate this. We'll still have our Bellevue location, but we're also going to have a day in Omaha.
Yeah, so we'll have an Academy Day, which is Wednesday, for all ages. So you have a younger group, and we'll be specific. Younger groups will be from 6 to 7:30, and then we'll have 7:30 to 9 for the older groups. And so prepare. I just get that one parent. Let's clear prepare. Younger kids, of course, they can carry it out and go to bed. If you're going to be a little bit for the later groups, understand, do your homework when you come home. Do your homework when you come home, do your study, come home. I think some kids get home at 4. Eat your snack, be ready, then you can just go to bed afterwards. We're not trying to keep you out at midnight, but it's like, I get the one parent that's like, well, this is late. Well, when else will we do it?
Well, I think the thing is we got to explain the times that we settle on are times that most of the other parents have kind of agreed to.
Yes.
And so we're trying to please. You can't please everybody, and so we have to go with where most people are fine with time and fine with playing basketball. So it always falls around, for the later kids, it falls around after 7 to around 9. And so that's what we run with. If time doesn't match up with you, I'm sorry. It's making the concession, like, maybe it's not the program for you.
Right.
And I think the thing we have to emphasize is we're not the program for everybody.
Right.
This is not going to work for everybody because not everybody is going to have the requisite level of commitment.
Right.
The level of commitment that we're looking for and the level of being able to focus and stay on task.
Yeah, there's no need to be rude and disrespectful and call. I feel, and I'll be honest with you guys, like the stuff that some of the coaches I've talked to that they have to deal with, we don't have to do as much, but I get emails or texts or calls sometimes. They're kind of ridiculous as coming from adults where it's like you said, okay, it's time to work. I don't need a 3-paragraph email telling me to change the time because you're the one person that doesn't work for. I don't understand that. Move on.
Right.
Hey, move on. You go find somewhere else. Like I'm not a bad person because I couldn't meet your time. We've done academy for almost 8 years.
Right.
I've been coaching for 22 years, so it's worked for most people. And if it doesn't work for you, I have plenty of other coach friends. You can email me and I can refer you instead of a 3-paragraph, angry email about me not changing the time.
Well, and the other side is we have a wide spectrum of kids. We have kids that have, kids who aren't able to focus. We adjust to their different needs. We have a lot of neurodivergent kids that are in our system, and we try to structure in a way that benefits them, but at the same time, it's balancing how we can serve the most people. And unfortunately, we can't have, a 4:30 time. That's too early.
Right.
It's too early for most of the parents that we have. If we get a good group and we get enough people that are willing to sign up for a service that early, it might be something we can talk about. But right now, we can't staff it.
No, parents work.
Right.
Parents work. Historically, people get off at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Some people get off different time, but overall, the numbers, people get off at 5.
And so the reality of it is we're trying to accommodate the most people. And so the times are the times for right now. We will add more academy times. We'll add more academy days as we get more bandwidth to do more academy stuff. But we have to make it so that we're not compromising the quality of what we're trying to offer just to expand. And unfortunately, there's a lot of places that don't really do that. And I want to grow as fast as I can, and the quality always falls off. We've all been to that restaurant that started out really good until people started discovering it, and they started getting really busy, and the quality of their food fell off a cliff. We're trying to deliver the same quality while scaling up as appropriate. So we're offering the Omaha session that's going to be Wednesdays with the same times that we have on our current academy sessions. If you're interested, it's time to start signing up now. With academy, specifically with the teams. So we have basketball teams. We're going to be doing some tryouts for open spaces. We have players that have actually already committed to us through playing last year and summer ball and stuff. And so if they remain committed to us, we remain loyal to them. As long as they're committed to us, we're loyal to them. And so when you see stuff for tryouts, that means that there are specific needs or positions or even sometimes teams that we're looking to get players on. And so some of the positions are spoken for because the kids and parents have committed and they've been with us and they have a history with us. But there's always opportunities for new people to come in. Right. And we're not going to limit those opportunities. But we do have tryouts that are coming up. And so with the tryouts, that's really what the goal is, to fill in the empty spaces that we have. And, there are going to be teams that are new opportunities, to be quite honest with you, teams that are full of new opportunities for new people to come in. If you can come out and hoop and show us a level of commitment, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, we don't want any of our current people getting comfortable.
Right.
Like we identified something we want back. Of course, if you have a good season or good core, you want, everybody back. But that doesn't mean that everybody on the team is going to fit if they don't work. So if 8 are working and 4 aren't, those 4 should be looking over their shoulder.
Right.
And that's what I want.
Right.
That's what I want because that's how you get better.
The 4 are going to have to compete.
Yep.
If they're not working hard, if they're not committed to getting better, then either they're going to find a level of commitment to actually get better, or they're going to find themselves on the bench watching somebody else in their spot.
But it goes like this, and I'm probably going to make some people mad, but that's what I do. Not everybody's going to like you, right? Everybody like you. I've had people will come up and question why certain players, it is already years. How come those 2 that three, those four play more than anybody else. And I'd say, well, for one, wait 24 hours to get your feelings, and so you can talk to me after that. Because I'm going to tell you that 24-hour rule, I think every coach needs to put that in. Because when you emotionally respond, you can ruin a lifetime friendship because you're caught up in the moment.
Right.
Or a good partnership. Because for me, when as a younger coach, I cared about what people thought, right? And every coach, when you're like 20, 21, you care about not messing up. You care about what the parents think. Well, now I'm, almost mid-40s. I've already established myself, and now I'm kind of looking like, are you looking what's going on in the game? Did we win the game? Did we do it as a team? So if you have an issue about other stuff, let's talk about any other, another time. And so look at it as what we are trying to bring to these teams and things like that is the reason why certain players play more is because their commitment to practice, their commitment to training, the academy, like they're taking what we're teaching them and they're applying it because we see them the next time and the next night and they do exactly what we said and they apply it. So now I trust you in the last 10 seconds of a game because I know you're not going to throw the ball away.
Right.
And I know you're not going to run and get scared, when the big guy is covering you. You're not going to get scared. So that's why those two are playing. That's why the two are playing. And they're doing stuff on their own. When I look at your Instagram or I look at your post, you're outside playing. You're lifting weights. You're showing up to our academy sessions over at Active 8, our speed agility stuff. You're doing something else. Isn't that what you want for your kid to get better by doing that stuff, or do you want to do the bare minimum?
Right. And that's kind of what determines, because here's the thing, there's the difference between our younger teams where, we try to get the clock out there, we try to give as many kids opportunity to win play as possible, but it's still trying to win the game. And then there's a difference between that and having to compete on our older rosters are really competitive. And so you're going to have to improve that you're a dog and you're willing to go out there and you got some dog and you're ready to go out there and compete. And, the kids that have that in them are going to fare a lot better than the kids that are coming in and doing the bare minimum. And so
I don't think for a minute that we don't talk to these kids in practice.
Right.
I don't think for a minute that we don't talk to them on the sidelines. I don't think for a minute we're not looking at body language. They're like, if you come into a high school game or a tryout and you are 15 minutes late, you're not getting a tryout.
Right.
If you come in and you look like you're asleep and you're like rubbing your eyes and the ball hits you in the face 4 or 5 times and we're 10 minutes in the game.
You show up in pajamas. You come to a workout session wearing pajamas.
You're not ready to play.
You're not ready to go.
So you can play all you want. The coach doesn't like you, blah, blah, blah. I'm a star. I'm the best player on my block, even though everybody on my block plays the hockey. They don't play basketball. You could tell us that, but we physically see that. So the academy, we don't only address the skill piece, how to dribble, shoot, kind of things there. We're talking about body language. We're talking about how do you talk to your high school coach? How do you talk to your English teacher when you don't have your assignment?
Right.
How do you stay off social media, like Brian said, and stop pointing your finger and making gun gestures and something like that too? Overall, that's not good. We actually talked about that last night at our academy, because there's kids, that come and go. It's like, and I know their parents. We're at that age now where we went to school with all these parents,
right?
We know them somehow. And I'm looking like, your dad's a lawyer, everything's fine in your life. Why did you post that? Post that. So our academy is bigger than just basketball. We want you to be a total athlete. We want you to all around be like just a total player that's ready to be recruited, that's ready to be help your high school team out, help our select teams out, and just be an overall good, a good person.
Well, it's like, we know your parents. You don't have any ops.
No.
The ops ain't out to get you.
No.
So
no, you cannot talk about everybody's out to get you and you have a pool in your backyard and a video game set up in your whole basement. No one's out to get you. They're probably out to come play video games with you.
So to get back on topic, what we're saying is it's demonstrating. And here's the thing. The difference between like the AAU side of things versus the regular basketball season side of things is AAU is really predicated on who's going to help you, who's going to help us, who's giving us the best opportunity to win right now.
Right.
Who's going to give us the best showing? Who's going to benefit the most from this level of competition? So there's different things at play. So sometimes the coach may make a decision like, okay, this kid is going to absolutely benefit from this competition. So they're going out there and they're going to go swim with the Sharks. This kid gives us the best opportunity to win. They're going out there and giving us they're going to go out there and get us minutes, And so we make decisions based on that kind of stuff. When we're in the season, we're looking at how we're going to make everybody better, how we're going to make how we're going to make the whole team better. And so it's a different level of consideration. AAU, I would almost say, is a completely different philosophy. Did you say?
Right.
And so as we're coming out of AAU season, the philosophy is shifting back to the longer term stuff and what's going to make this kid better in the long run. The AAU is for the kids that are at the top of their top of their skill set here, and we're trying to get some more dirt on them, so that we're trying to get them scuffed up a little bit to make them a little bit tougher, so that when they come back in the season and basketball season starts up, they're not scared of these kids around here. And that's what AAU is, putting them in tough environments and seeing what they can do. Basketball season looks different. It's more of there's a little bit more of or I will say less of a learning curve, but a higher expectation to show that you're committed to learning to be a better basketball player. And so that's what Basketball Academy is. So if you sign up for a team with us, what you get is you get your practice sessions, but you get required academy sessions where we're requiring you to come out to academy and develop your skills. The reason why is there's a lot of programs out here, and I know I said I wouldn't do this, but I am going to throw this out there. There's programs out there that they'll put you on a roster and you come out and do your practices, and that's it. And then you come out on whatever day and play. We ain't about that. We want you to actually be working on your game the whole year round and not just rely on playing to get better. We want you participating actively in academy and working on your individual skills so that you can become a better player and really level up. So
we're not successful if none of our kids make their school team.
Right.
We're not successful. That's a cash grab, right? And our other organizations do that. Let's just be real. Our teams, we're going to pretty much have one team for each level that we say,
right?
And maybe two for a couple just because of the numbers, but it's not going to be, not knocking anybody, but it's not going to be 25 teams. That's not how we're structured. So we have a better feel of who our players are. We have a better relationship with the parents, so we kind of know whether it's a little bit smaller field, and we can develop knowing who's going to be on what team without having to go search, all 50 teams for somebody. We know these kids personally.
Right.
The coaches are going to know these kids personally. Coach Randall, Coach Joel, Coach Aaron has done a great job of building these personalities where they can get into our team snap and say, yep, we have academy this day and we have practice this day. And so you're going to be structured on what you're going to do. And then it kind of goes back to, how are you preparing as a parent? Maybe we're even talking about that. How you prepare as a parent? You got to know playing time's earned, not given.
Right.
You have to know this at every level, and then watch the game. Watch the game. I've got questions. I'm like, and I've done it. I'm like, okay, you want me to pull this one out? I'll pull it out. Now what happened? Turnover, right? Okay, so this is why I let this one in. So there's a couple things you got to understand. Like, we're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. We see your kid there. We're looking at the bench. We see it, but I also. But when I told Ryan, when we started, I also know that you were talking about who your favorite Pokemon is.
Right.
We have 10 seconds to go in the game, and you're looking down at your Pokemon cards. Don't know how you got them here and how you put them in your bag, but how do I play that kid? And you can come to me after a day, get upset all you want, but we're not going to do that. And if that's not what you want to do, we're not asking you to be part of the teams. But if you want to develop and you just want to do the basketball academy, of course, we can do that. We can get you ready there. And if you want to try out for one of our summer teams, yeah, sure. Sure. But if you're like, hey, I'm all in, I want to do the academy and try for this team, do it. That's what we want. We want people to do that. But I do ask the parents before they make these decisions. It's just, no, talk to your kid. We've talked about this. Talk to your kid, have this conversation, let them know when I drop you off, it's not the hangout show. You know, it's not to bring the football, throw it across the gym show. It's not to run around, roll on the floor show. And I'm not talking about little kids.
Right.
I'm talking about kids that should know better. It's to develop and get better, because if we're going to take it serious, we want you to take it serious. We have fun.
Right.
We have fun. We laugh, those things there. But we don't want people hurt. And I want people to leave like knowing, like, every time I came to a session, I learned something.
Well, and the thing is, I do want to clarify this. You can be an academy and not be on a team, but you can't be on a team and not be participating in academy.
Right.
Academy is kind of the baseline expectation. You have to commit to actually becoming a better player and doing the boring stuff, which is stuff during academy. And academy is far from boring. We run, I've seen coach out there getting the kids to actually run games during academy. So, it's the opportunity and the platform to get better. And so that's really what the baseline expectation is. You can be on a team. You got to be on academy. You can be on academy, but don't necessarily have to be on a team.
Yep.
And so that's what the expectation is. I think what we're going to do is we're about an hour in. We got a lot of other conversations to have. And so if we continue on, this could be a 3, 4, 5 hour, one of them Rogan kind of podcasts. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to put a stamp on that. Coming up, when we're having tryouts for kids that aren't already on our team?
August 8th at Mission Middle School. That is where we're at. If anything changed, that date will be the same, but that school will be where we're at. If anything change, you'll know. It'd be because of like a gym issue or something like that too. But August 8th is where we're gonna be at. We're gonna have the younger kids, so we're looking from third. We're gonna go from 3rd to 8th. So the it'll be a third, 4th grade teams. We'll kind of see what we get out of that. 5th and 6th, we're going to be together, but then we're going to start standalone 7th, standalone 8th. And if we get enough, it'll be standalone 6, it'll be standalone 6. That's what we really are looking for. And it'll be by numbers. We will let people know. The coaches will contact you within 24 hours or less if you have made the team. When you make the team, you are committed by registering for the team. Registration means you're making a financial commitment to the team, not I'm going to get it, I'm going to explore other people, that's fine. But know if you're exploring, we're going to move on to the next person if it's past the 24 hours.
Right.
Because we got to fill these teams in, we got to start practices will start the next week. So once it starts, we start moving to our Omaha location on the 17th for 2 days, and then we're in the Bellevue location for, with option of another day or an extra day there, so 4 days. But it will start right away. And here's what I want to say. We're both business owners. We're both dads. We know there's, things that, going, you have to pay back to school. I understand that. But we also understand that there has to be something, we're telling you in advance that the basketball is going to start right away. The skill stuff is going to start right away. And if your kid gets behind in any way, it's almost too late. The game is too competitive right now. And to say, hey, I'll wait for a month and a half and then get everything together and come back, well, the spot's not going to be there.
Right.
It's not going to be there.
The idea is once we get the teams established, the teams are set. And the only way we'll add mid-season and stuff is if those will be individual conversations that happen.
Yeah.
But the teams are set as they are. And so once we get everything finalized, it's finalized. So I'll run down the payment options. So, you can pay for one shot, get everything with academy. Jerseys are going to be separate, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to try that out. But you get one shot. The fees are $1,250 for one shot. And that covers winter and fall basketball. You get your practice sessions, plus you get basketball training at the basketball academy. And so you're getting a lot of value out of it. Are we going to throw in some speed and agility sessions too with that?
Yeah, and I'm always willing to, if I can get some people to commit to the team and be part of that too, yeah, speed and agility, I want you to be, I want kids at that. If they're part of the program, I want them faster. I want them stronger. I want them more explosive while learning the basketball piece of it. And that's a big thing. And we will take kids that want to, get better all day. Even if you're like new to the basketball piece, but we get athletes. We've changed so many kids that are soccer and football players into being excellent basketball players because the footwork is similar. But we would love to have that too.
So for that price point, you get team practices, but then you also get basketball skill and training work. You get speed and agility with it. And so you're getting the benefit of a couple of different programs for that price point. If that's too big of a chunk, we can break it up into installments. We have a 3-month and a 6-month program. If we get into the installments piece, the thing we're going to say is it's almost like a month-to-month arrangement. So, if you're able, you pick the installment plan that works for you, it's kind of incumbent upon y'all to make sure that you're staying on top of it, because the thing we don't want to have happen is, like the position we've been in this summer, where we commit to these tournaments and then we have people that are paying us in chunks, and then all of a sudden they get abducted by aliens or something happens weird, and then we're left shorthanded for a roster and shorthanded for a tournament. Because some of these tournaments you pay as you go. You can't exactly pay them, and you can't pay them in advance, because the risk you're running is that tournament may not be there, and they'll just abscond with your money. So you don't want to plan too far ahead, and that person done got arrested or they're on the FBI's most wanted list or something, and we didn't know about it. So. That's the danger of the tournament piece of it. The tournaments we're getting into for the season, we don't anticipate that at all. Right. The last time we did have the pandemic fall down on top of us, and so it shut down everything.
Shot the dark. Right.
So what we're saying is, if you choose the installments plan, one is going to cost a little bit more. I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. It's going to cost more overall. But the other side is we need you to stay on top of the payments. So it comes out once a month. If you go with the 3 or 6 months, make sure it's ready to go. And, you'll have a spot with us. But if something funny happens, you need to contact coach and have an honest conversation and say, hey, this is what happened. And, there's a possibility if, the circumstances work out, we can come up with the individual payment plan for you. But if you're going to go with the installments, we're trusting you to follow through on the installments if your kid's going to be on our team.
Yep, and very simple, and it is what it is. And again, Brian's very transparent when it is like probably. I don't want to like field any calls for why is it this way? Why this way? He explained why it is. You get a lot. I have coaches that are very good at what they do. The results are there. Gym rentals are free. I mean, that is really like that too, and it is what it is. And we don't feel that with the quality of what you're getting and with the results of what our kids are doing, there's no need to explain. Just move on, right? You need to jump in and move on. Don't need any rude emails or text messages on why. It's like we already explained it,
right? So if we're gonna be transparent with y'all, we want some level of transparency back. If something happens, reach out to us. There's plenty of parents that we've worked out stuff with, but it's better to be straight up and say, hey, this is what's going on, and let us kind of decide how we're going to do it, versus, oh, wow, the account I got a new card, or, those kind of things do happen, and we allow for that kind of stuff. That's why we're putting in a 7-day grace period for that stuff. But let us know up front what's going on.
Right.
Like, we'll be transparent. Somebody hit our account this week, and they went out and had a fantastic time running wild in the streets. Babies Are Us in Illinois. Apparently, they were having a child and decided that they're going to go on a shopping spree. And so they hit one of our accounts, and so we're scrambling. And so, we understand how life can just fall down on top of you. And so we're trying to recover. And so we have that level of grace in our hearts for people that encounter bad times. But you need to let us know as soon as possible so we can make a plan. Don't just spring it on us, and don't just disappear. And don't just show up. And here's the other side. Don't just show up and stare us in the face, and we're looking at you, and you looking at us, and we're looking at you. And we're like, so it looks like, you canceled with 2 payments left. What's going on? Oh, don't do that to us.
Right. Because
Right, you know. Like,
and to be one more time, if you ever met one of us, like, if everybody's met me and Brian, like, we're both good family men, and we've been, we both have background in child care, like a high level child care and behavioral modifications, things like that too. So we understand, and we still understand a lot, I understand a lot. But we also, the respect back to us is we're a small business owner. We're a small business owner.
Right.
And so I don't know what the rumor is about small business owner. I don't have a private jet.
Right.
I don't have a private jet, and I'm sitting on millions of dollars. One day, that's going to be my thing.
You don't have a private jet, but you paid out of your pocket to put a kid in a hotel and feed him for the weekend.
I sure did.
With an account that was compromised. So
Goodness.
we had a compromised account where we didn't have access to the funds that we had set aside, and we still paid for a kid and fed him for the weekend because they didn't have any money. Right. So...
And that's what we do. And that's what there's a difference between a small business and with CMA ourselves, how our teams are structured is we have a kid that can't eat or can't get a hotel. We will come together on no special occasion. We will make that happen. We'll make it happen. It's because we're open and transparent. That doesn't happen in a lot of places. And I've been on the other side where I paid for select sports for my oldest son.
Right.
And there is no payment program. You need to pay this today. And if he's not playing.
Right.
And I couldn't sleep at night knowing that my kid 10 years from now is sitting in counseling because I promised him something that didn't happen.
Well, and here's the thing. Since I'm the business manager, I'll just be transparent with it. We are a for-profit that runs like a nonprofit, and that sometimes that gives me gray hair because we emphasize the players and parents' experience over a lot of times what makes financial sense to us. We will jeopardize that to make sure that we can take care of a kid or a family. And we've done it on multiple occasions. Sometimes we end up getting holding in the dirty end of the stick. Sometimes there is no clean end of the stick at all. But that's what we do. And we're going to stay that way. We're not going to change up any of that stuff in any way that we approach this game. The only thing we will change up is you might see a CMA branded nonprofit piece come out for some of the other things that we have rolling. We are actually actively discussing what elements would benefit from a nonprofit. And if you have any specific knowledge to that industry, we both come from a nonprofit background. I actually was the chair of a couple. That doesn't mean that we exactly know the nuts and bolts of creating one. And so if you have any special knowledge you would love to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Email us and I'll put the email at the bottom, coachmoathletics@gmail.com. That's where you can reach us. But the reality is we run it like a nonprofit sometimes, and sometimes we end up taking hits that we don't need to take hits on.
Right. And we have, and maybe we have families. Right. So we have families, and it does stay home. And so, and to be honest, this is going to be a big year of positive transition for me.
Right.
For me, transition where I'm, leaning. I'm going to lean heavy into development. Right. Which is my specialty, development. On the sidelines is great, right? And I've done that for years. I started when I was in college, and I did it in years. But what's even greater is seeing a kid multiple times a week, and helping them hone in their skills and getting better. Helping, so Brian, we're trying to get a nonprofit started, or we're trying, there's those things like that. The history, we go back to Fort. I couldn't do this without Brian. Couldn't do this without me, and we're going to be successful because we're going to be transparent, and we've learned the hard way from stuff, but we're not going to learn the hard way, not at this point. It's going to be, we want people that are there to get trained. It's simple as that. We want people to get better. Simple as that. These are going to be the costs up front. Simple as that. And if you have questions, just talk. Right. We know we're not going to be perfect, and that's like anybody, right? But we're also not going out with the mentality of, I don't care how bad our reviews are, I'm just going to get a bunch of people in. That's not what we do. We do actually care about the quality of service we're giving, and we love positive feedback that helps us develop kids and develop them. Not feedback about your individual kid about playing time, knowing that he missed 5 practices in a row. Right. That's not helping the whole program get better.
One thing that's completely unrelated that I do need to bring up is, as we get into the season, and this is something that I feel like we have to say every single year, if your kid is struggling at home or struggling in school and they're committed to the basketball team, please talk to the coach before you make any decisions about trying to yank away the thing that could be the only thing that you can leverage to get some positive behaviors out of. And this is me putting on my old, okay, and I can run down my resume real quick. So I got, almost 10 years working directly with kids in a group home capacity, and multiple years working as a supervisor all the way up to director level in residential treatment facilities for kids. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to leveraging things that kids want to get behaviors that you want to see out of them. So when I say this, I'm being very transparent with you. If you have a child that's struggling in school or at home, the absolute worst thing you can possibly do, if they enjoy a sport, if they enjoy basketball, if they enjoy soccer, football, bowling, hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, whatever it is, gymnastics, track, whatever it is, if they enjoy that piece of it, the absolute worst thing you can do is take that away, because now you've removed the piece of leverage that you can use to get good behaviors out of them. There's nothing scarier to a kid than telling them, I will tell your coach. Allow Coach Mo, Coach Randall, Coach Joel, who else? Coach Aaron. Coach Phil.
Yep.
Allow us to help with the consequences of the kids being a butthole at school. Talk to Coach Mo and let us address it in practice or on the game time, where we can actually remove minutes from a game, or we could say you're going to miss the first quarter, or you got wind sprints. I'm calling them wind sprints. You got wind sprints, stuff that's not exactly fun as consequences. Allow us to help with the consequence piece of it. You will be shocked at what kind of outcomes you get. But if you yank away the only thing that this motivates this kid, do not be surprised if now you have no leverage to get any kind of behaviors out of them.
I've sat at IEP meetings. I've sat at band concerts. I've sat at weddings for kids.
Right.
Kids apparently too. So that's not. Coach Randall went to a couple baseball games. Like Joel has taken kids to and from Kansas City and practices. They're like, we have coaches that care.
Right.
We have coaches that care, and we want to help. Want to help, and just let us know. Just let us know this stuff, and that's the transparency we want to know. That a lot of organizations won't do that. A lot of organizations, you don't have a ride. That kid can't. It's just not going to go. I made a decision. Like, I could have told the kid last week, we don't have it, but I made my sacrifices to get him there. And we have a couple this week that are in need. I thank you for those who reached out and have donated to, help with these next two. It happens. And then it's not, the kids are bad kids, not like their parents good, they ran into some hard times, but they're part of a family. They've been with us all summer, and they're key players on our team. And the last thing we want to do is see them streaming a game and their boys are out there fighting because they didn't have enough money for a pizza.
Right. So I've showed up like Batman to sit in kids' classes. I've sat in and talked with principals and stuff. I've attended, again, my kids' one of my former youth's weddings. I've been running through the South Omaha project, knocking door to door, looking for a kid that was in my care, that I really didn't have to go look for. We have that level of connection with the kids, but you need to allow us to help out with that piece of it, because we're trying to support you as a parent. But if you just unilaterally snatch it away, what happens is you've removed the ability to get the kind of behaviors that you want to see out of the kid, and you've only set them up to give you the kind of behaviors that you don't want to see, because they have nothing to motivate them. So please talk to us. Last thing, and we got to wrap up, sponsorships. I got to put it out there. With sponsorships, guys, we always are looking for sponsors. If you're a business owner out there, as a for-profit, our sponsorships are going to look like, your name travels with us. Your name goes on our jersey. It goes on our website. We shout you out whenever we can. Speaking of that, shout out to Anding Dental. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Solutions Heating and Air. These are fantastic businesses. We don't partner with anything less. And so please come out and patronize them based on, what we're saying here. Like I said, we really appreciate our sponsorships, it's a marketing opportunity for your business. It's a great opportunity for you to see something visible. When we get the nonprofit set up, there's going to be additional benefits, of course. And you guys, business owners, know what I'm talking about with the additional benefits. But for right now, if you sponsor with us, your name goes where we go. It goes on our jerseys, goes on bags. We can, it gets prominent placement on our website. And we're going to start opening up different membership tiers and things like that. But if you're interested in possibly having your business as a sponsor to get advertised on the Coach Mo podcast or on our website, give us a shout at coachmoathletics@gmail.com. That's coachmoathletics@gmail.com. Trying to make sure I got everybody. Oh, Ending Family Dental, ATI Physical Therapy. They've done great work with one of our kids. One of the parents has rave reviews about how much they've helped out with a kid who had a pretty bad injury.
Yep.
And Solutions Heating and Air, they've been clutch for me and Mo in these hot summer months. A couple months ago, our air conditioning decided that it was done with us. It fired us permanently and decided that it was going to go on permanent strike. And so we had to replace it. And Sally and Chris were on top of it. They helped us out and, were able to get us hooked up with financing and the whole thing. And we got cool comfort through the rest of the summer. I know Mo's called them on multiple times to come and help out. We're looking at air conditioning, heating, duct work. They can come in if you got a man cave that's hot all the time, or garage that's hot, or attic that's hot. Come and hook you up with one of them ductless mini splits to keep you cool, and even all the way up to, air purification, where they can zap the little microbes and stuff floating around in there. It can zap that out of the air so you can breathe easier. So those are our sponsors. If you're interested in sponsorships, give us a shout. We'll talk about you on the podcast. This podcast is always growing. I'm always blown away by the numbers that it's doing. So more and more people are listening to it. And so this is a great opportunity for you to sit down and get shouted out on the Coach Mo Athletics podcast, the Coach's Corner. That's what we have. Coach Mo, do you have anything to wrap them up?
No, tryouts, August 7th. If you are asking, I'm getting a lot of questions, just send us an email if you want to know, details. I had a great question today where a kid's injured right now, and he asked, can we do a separate tryout when he gets healed? Of course, we're not going to deny the kid from trying out. He's hurt right now, and they let us know. We appreciate all of our summer families. We appreciate all the families with the kids that played summer AAU ball, select ball, the new kids, the new families. We appreciate all the times you put them together. We ask that you, if you really love your experience, that you leave a Google review,
right.
A full Google review. Don't good or thumbs up. Just kind of tell us, I was in the basketball academy program, or let them know if they're below a 3, we're gonna delete it. So I'm just kidding. We already got rid of those people. No, but we just ask that so we can grow it better. Again, keep it open, transparent to us. Again, yes, thank you, Solutions. Thank you, Ending Family Dental. You guys have been cleaning my teeth for years, and Dr. Chang's done a lot of work with my family as well. We appreciate that. Appreciate the people that have donated or gifted. A lot of people don't want to be identified.
Right.
I'm going to make sure you get identified somehow. If it's a shirt, if it's something, you guys have done a lot for us, and we really appreciate it. And also, look forward to anything Ryan's going to put together. We're going to put a store together, and let them know. Shout out personally and lastly to Coach Randall. You've done a great job with coming in, stepping in, great leadership experience coming in with those boys. Joel, you came in last summer when I lost a coach to whatever he wanted to do. Let's be real. Remember the day he just wanted to just disappear and left the boys, in the spot. But you came and stepped right in there. Coach Aaron, thank you for, having your nephew Bernie came in and really helped change that 6th grade team around. But the willingness to stay and keep working with those boys when you didn't even have a connection with them, with them besides that is huge. And I appreciate it. And Coach Phil, you've been in with me for a while, and what you did, and Coach Phil has got some underrated, and I think he doesn't give the credit he deserves. That team was kind of all over the place for a while because people just weren't showing up to practice. It's summertime, right?
Right.
But I don't know if you guys know, he won. They were in a Lincoln tournament, and I'm going to post that, and they won. They came and played some tough teams, and they got the Kansas City. They were within 4 of an AAU top-rated tournament, within 4 And I mean, and almost won. They went 4-1. I mean, like, that is huge. These are kids that are coming into our academy and winning, and winning. We've had Twitter things about, some of our players. Summer League, Ami Williams, Chris Brown, Trey Tolbert, they won a tournament in Denver for their high school. They're 3 sophomores that stepped in and played big moments and they're part of our program. And that's huge. They won in Denver. They traveled somewhere and won a tournament. They beat a defending state champion as one of the teams, in that thing. That's huge, JJ Ball is part of that program too. JJ Ball, Chris has had getting write-ups. Rami's had Twitter. I think Trey's had it where they've seen videos. We've had a lot of kids in our program that have gotten recognition, and we are proud of that. I don't want you to feel like we never think of that stuff.
Right.
But we see that. I even talk about the new kids. Britton, Braylon, your kids are coming into basketball academy with a beginning idea of knowing how to play basketball, not being so confident, to coming in, walking in, and volunteering to be next in the line, volunteering to step up and play, who are playing in games that they probably wouldn't have done a month or 2 ago. That's rewarding to us, and I feel passionate about that. So when I get the behind the scenes I get passionate about the success. I love the kids' success. I love hearing, hey, Brian, hey, my son's out here dribbling a basketball. That's more successful than anything else for us. And that makes us more motivated that we're doing the right thing with Academy, and we're just not getting numbers of kids that show up and just stand in a circle and throw the ball to each other.
So all this frustration and angst and aggression from summer, y'all gonna see it in the fall when we come back local. You're gonna start to see what our teams have been able to do and the stuff that they've been able to learn from the AAU. And so fall ball is going to look a little bit different than summer ball. Be prepared to hear about us a lot. So again, sign up. If you are a parent with us, the link is active. You can come and register to book your spot. If you're already a parent with us and you played with us and coaches have spoken with you, the link is available. You guys need to take advantage of it and book your spot out. If you're interested in running with us, we're having a tryout on the 8th. Based on what we see on that tryout, there may be a second one scheduled, depending on needs for special teams and stuff like that. But we'll keep you posted about. We have the date where location is pretty set, but we're just double checking. We don't like to put it out there too early, so that's coming up. Check us out. If you have any questions, email us, coachmoathletics@gmail.com. And so that's what we got. Thanks for tuning into the Coaches Corner podcast. Like, share, subscribe wherever you see this. If you're seeing this on Facebook, share this far and wide. Send it to the people you don't like.
hey, the biggest shout outs, and we're out of here. Biggest shout outs is shout out to my wife Allison. Shout out to Brandy. They are actually the brains behind all this because they have to hold down the family while we're trying to pull this together. And I know we both sacrifice a lot of time from them and don't see anything, but we love what we do, but we don't want to take them for granted. And I appreciate them letting us, fulfill our dream. And the journey's not over. Right. We got a long time to keep growing, and we appreciate you guys are helping us grow.
Can I plug this real quick?
Okay.
All right. So you're going to see me and Brandy because we have a podcast, What's the Business with Brian and Brandy. We interview local business owners. We interview business owners from across the country to figure out what's the business with their business. We ask about specifically, their history, their story, maybe some things and products and services that they're excited about, and really ask for tips. So people that are listening, if you're looking to start your own business, you can get some game. You can pick up some free game from business owners. And so we post that about once a week. It's What's the Business with Brian and Brandy. All your favorite podcast providers were on there, but that's what we have. And so you're going to be seeing Coach Mo in a segment on What's the Business with Brian and Brandy. And we're going to talk about the formation of CMA and where it's going. And, if you're interested in that, if you want to be a guest, if you want to get into that, or here's the other side of it. We also help businesses strategize with their content strategy. We focus on podcasts, but we also do video. If you're interested in that, shoot me an email at mail@isellwords.net. That's mail, MAIL, at isellwords.net. I'll scroll across the bottom so you can see it. The link will be in the show notes. But if you're interested in starting your own, give me a shout and we can sit down and talk. So that's what we got. Shout out to everybody that we've shouted out. Shout out to our players, coaches, and teams. Shout out to our parents and our sponsors. And shout out to y'all if y'all are listening to us. We're going on an hour and a half. God bless you. But I appreciate your time and attention. We'll be back. We're going to make this a little bit more frequent as we get into the season. So we'll be back. We'll probably be talking about academy expectations and, what the season has in store for us. So that's what we'll be discussing on the next episode. We'll talk to you guys later. Brian and Mo,
Right.
talk to you later.
Peace.
Peace.